Kendo Podcast episode 156. In this episode, I want to share an interview with Furukawa sensei about teaching Kendo in foreign countries. Kendo Podcast by Hiro Mafuji from KendoGuide.com. Thank you for listening. This podcast is about Japanese martial arts Kendo for Kendo lovers and supported by Kendo enthusiasts through Patreon.com. Thank you for your support, guys. Please visit KendoGuide.com for more Kendo information and how to support KendoGuide.com. Welcome to Kendo Podcast episode 156. Kendo Project, there's a website called Kendo Project, and they interviewed Furukawa sensei, and he talked about developing Kendo in foreign countries. So I want to share my thoughts with that too. And he said that teachers who live in foreign countries seriously need to learn Kendo more. I agree with it. I completely agree with it, especially Japanese people. I think that's what he meant by teachers. We learn, like including me, when I studied Kendo when I was a kid. So I just learned Kendo without thinking why it should be like this, why it should be this should be like that. And it's natural. It's kind of common sense to a lot of Japanese people. Of course, to some Japanese or most of Japanese people now, Japanese people don't sit in seiza where at the living room. That's simply because the lifestyle has been westernized. So we don't have not many people live with tatami anymore. I'm talking about in the cities. When you go to countryside, they do have a lot of tatami, and so it's probably in Japan we don't have land. So if you live in cities, you have limited land. And we have a lot of apartments. And they don't really have tatami mat. It's probably with floor, like wooden floor or some kind of a fake wood floor. It's cheaper, right? But anyway, so lifestyle has been changed. So kids don't have chance to sit in seiza as much as we used to, older generations. And of course, a lot of things that have been changed. So not many things we learned when I was a kid at the dojo is normal to many kids in Japan now. So I cannot say what's normal to a lot of people in Japan. But at least if you learn Kendo, let's say at the dojo, let's say one thing we've been talking about this at the dojo, greeting, hello sensei, how are you? Bow to each other. Well, that's Japanese stuff. But in New Zealand, you gotta say g'day mate, how's it going mate? You say that things. US too. They don't say g'day, but hello, how are you? How's it going? They said that, right? Now they don't bow, but they say that to each other. But kids, on the other hand, this is surprising stuff. Kids don't say anything to anyone. They don't say hello to anyone. They don't say hello to each other, kids, right? And that was surprising to me because my kids, when they were at kindergarten, they say that to teacher. Teacher says, hi, how are you? And they say, hi, miss, someone. As they grow, they lose their habit. And I asked these kids at the dojo, do you greet to your teacher, your teachers at school? And they said, no. Why not? Why don't you say hello to each other? So it's normal to us, but it's not normal to them. So they have to relearn. I mean, most of the countries in most of the countries I know, they say hello. Guatemala, when I was in Guatemala, they say hello to each other, and U.S., New Zealand, where else did I live? Pretty much that's all. So only 4 countries, and Japan included, 4 countries, we say hello to each other. It doesn't matter, in Japan, teachers used to be, maybe now a little bit, they are very respected. And they say, the students say hello. I don't know now. Things change a lot, but at least when I was a kid. And so those little things you have to do that in most of the societies. At the dojo, we have to do that too. We say rei ni hajimari, rei ni owaru. Start with rei, ends with rei. Rei means bow as well as showing appreciation and showing appreciation and what else? Showing respect. So bow has those things. And then we say onegai shimasu before training, arigatou gozaimashita after training. Onegai shimasu is humbly you are asking to train, asking your opponent or partner to train with you, right? Receive my main strikes. Onegai shimasu. Please receive my main strikes. That's greeting, right? That's a kind of rei etiquette. So, these are very fundamental of kendo and martial arts. Otherwise, we are brutally hitting each other and then just go home. That is not cool. And Furukawa sensei is saying natural things in Japan are not available in foreign countries. So teachers need to teach acidosely more. I'm sorry, I don't know that word. Let me try to acidose. Oh, okay. All right. Please read it. And I think some English are not very well translated. But anyway, natural things means normal things in Japan. It's things in normal common sense in Japan. Of course, it's not common sense in other countries. So how to behave, like I said, seiza, for example, is not mostly. A lot of Westerners having trouble with seiza. In Kendo, we do that. But I don't suggest if you have knee problems, you don't have to hurt yourself to learn Kendo, That's my personal view. But the reason we sit in seiza, seiza itself, I heard and I studied, that is a very new thing too. So, if we talk about these things, we never end. And what's tradition, what's not, blah blah blah. How old should be tradition? We call tradition, but how old should the tradition be? So Kendo itself is invented, long time ago, about 400 years ago, when they invented armor and shinai, right? So, and then probably 400 or 300 years. I don't know. Probably I have to read Bennett Sensei's Kendo again. But anyway, so a lot of things like why do we have to do certain things at the dojo? Basically, it's from readiness, right? The way we sit from the left foot is because we want to draw out our sword. Usually we carry our sword on the left side of the left side. So when we sit down, we can draw out our sword. That is the basic idea. So that's why we sit from the left side. The reason we wear keikogi and hagama from the left side, there's a certain reason. Maybe there are many other theories out there because it's old. But at least in old days, we needed to protect our left side first because of how we used to fight on riding on a horse, right? So we get the I don't know how to call the rope connected to the horse. I don't know what to call it, but you know what I'm talking about. The left side, right? And left shoulder, left side of your body is forward. That means if that is more, it's kind of vulnerable. When someone shoot you an arrow, your left side is in front of you, so the left side has to be already ready. So you have to put armor from the left side. So that kind of thing is already there. That's one theory I heard. Okay, I read. So correct or not aside, I think that's the only one reason I have encountered. So assuming that's right, maybe some other theories. If you know some other theories, please share that with us, so we all know many other theories as well. So these little things probably should shared with even Japanese people should know these things, don't you think? Because I didn't know that until I studied and until I started digging why we do that, right? So a lot of Japanese people don't know why, and the reason how we carry our shinai is based on how we carry our sword, right? And how we draw out our shinai is based on how we draw out the sword. So all little things are based on the principle of the katana, including how to use the sword. So how to use the shinai. So when we dig like that, we should kind of know how to, what do you say? How to act or how to behave at the dojo. And I always say that don't sit, don't lie down on the dojo. Why? Why you shouldn't be lying down on the dojo, especially like heel, knees standing, and you just hands behind you, and just okay. I'm just having kind of I'm on a picnic kind of posture. If you do that at the dojo is to train yourself, so you have to be disciplined, right? But it doesn't mean you cannot lie down on the floor. That means you should be ready. This is a training place. So training place including readiness. You should be ready to fight. It's considered to be rude, but probably before we consider that kind of attitude or postures are rude. I think we had to know what we are doing. Kendo is derived from samurai swordsmanship. Samurai swordsmanship, I think, is about readiness. You gotta be ready all the time. You don't know what's gonna happen. At the battlefield, you gotta be ready. And anytime you have to draw out your sword, anytime you have to protect yourself, anytime you have to attack your enemies, right, to survive. So that is the basic idea. So instead of being, you can say that's rude. In Japan, it's rude. But here, I'm talking about here is US. It's not rude. They don't have the concept of the dojo. Not many people don't have the concept of the dojo at the beginning. So someone has to tell them. Who's going to tell them? Instructors, right? I know it's rude. We can say that's rude. In Japan, that's rude. But I think this is my thoughts. I changed the way of thinking recently. I think it's about readiness. We can say that's rude in Japan, but we are not probably. Kendo is Japanese culture, but if we dig deeper, what we want to try to do is we have to be ready all the time. So instead of that's Japanese culture, we can say, you gotta be ready. Don't sit like that. We should bow to each other. Bow to the showman 30 degrees. Bow to each other 15 degrees. Why? Why the different angles, So if we dig that based on the principles of the katana, or the way we look at things through samurai swordsmanship, probably it's easier for us to understand why we should be doing certain things. So, a lot of things like bogu is to protect yourself, so you have to treat them nicely, and shinai is a sword. And most importantly, you have to take care of it. One is for the sword is to protect you, and this is the important thing to survive. We rely on the sword, right? And then that we make it like more treasure, like this. We have to treat sword like holy thing. But that's kind of Japanese way of thinking, But if you think about it, if you don't take care of your sword, what happens in the battlefield? It might have a crack, and then you receive your opponent's sword, and it just breaks, and then you're dead. So you don't want that things happen. And also now you have to be careful, because you're not fighting to kill your opponent now, so you have to take care of your shinai. If you don't take care of shinai, you're gonna hurt your partner or opponent, right? And then you're gonna be sorry, right? And he's gonna be sorry because you guys trained kendo, you hurt other people by accident, or by not taking care of shinai. He or she got hurt because of you not taking care of your shinai. No one wins there. Both lose. So make sure you kind of think both ways. The way how the kendo was derived, and then how we take care of our shinai because of taking care of our kendo mates. So, but anyway, I think we really have to share these things. And then sometimes I think, maybe it's too much because, like they're not Japanese. They don't have to be doing certain things because they do kendo, unless they want to do it, and like bowing to each other, this we talked about this because of some religious reasons. Some people they don't want to bow to each other. It's a part of and then as the Japanese culture kicks in, and kendo is a part of is Japanese culture. We bow to show our respect and appreciation. That's what we do. Otherwise, if we talk about that kind of things, why do we use shinai? Why do we why do we have to wear blue or navy blue keikogi? Why can't I wear green keikogi or pink keikogi? We just go all over, right? So tradition versus non-tradition, we can talk about it, but at least we should introduce kendo to non-Japanese people with good reason. And if you don't know, you can just say, I don't know. There are a lot of things. A lot of people say this is the way it is. Good, but if you don't know, if you know the reason, please share it. If you don't know the reason, you can say, I'm sorry, I don't know. This is how I taught. I'll try to find out, or something like that, and then we there's no conflict there. You just admire or admit that you don't know, because you don't know. I don't know why we have 45 degrees feet between your feet and when you're standing. I don't know. I try to find out. If you know, please let me know. Iaido, they don't stand like that, so I don't really know why. Probably someone knows, so please share that if you know. Right, so I'm going to have the link to that interview below this podcast. So click on it, and you can learn what Furukawa Sensei thinks about local teachers in foreign countries. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next podcast. I would like to send special thanks to patrons for their constant support through patreons.com/Kendo for Life.